Hi, it's Tom here from Phone Daily Services, and today we're going to look at a mod, and it is this. It is the Tactical Roughcut. Now, this is not a mod that I came up with myself. It is my take on a mod that I saw on Reddit, and the two people who got credit for that are Dwarfs SFTW and KCRX7, and those are the two guys that I can remember from Reddit. I did look them up, and they produced what they call the Tactical Roughcut. So you can see that this is slightly different, and it allows you to have a pistol grip on your rough cut. Now, a lot of people don't like chainsaw grips and find them uncomfortable, and this makes the rough cut into kind of a cool pistol. You've got a mighty hand cannon type thing going on with that, and for a big-handed person or a larger person like myself, this actually makes them quite good fun to use in pistol rounds, or if you're doing CQB type games, having a 2-shot pistol is quite an advantage. And if you consider the strong arm will only hold 6 shots and you have 8, and if you use the handy function for 1 dart at a time, actually you've got an 8-shot pistol, and these will fit in the BSUK Mk4 holster. So if you have a BSUK Mk4 holster, you can fit a rough cut in it, and you can then carry it. You can either carry it, if you order an Ironside model like one of mine, you can actually carry it here on your rig. I can carry this under my arm here in my underarm rig, which is great fun because you can then kind of pull out this ridiculously large pistol and shoot at people, which is always good fun. I'll give you a close-up of the integration to come into the camera very carefully. And you can see the integration point is here, but it actually extends forwards like this into this area. I made a square cut. Now you can't see that because I actually built this layer of ABS up here. This is just some standard styrene sheet bonded in with a proprietary styrene adhesive to cover the gap, and then all of this is all fixed with DevCon. I'll show you on the other rough cut how it fits together. Now, this is the back half of a Recon because it's what I had after I made a mess of the Raider one, and I'll show you the Raider one. So actually here's a Raider handle that I cut ready for that mod, and this is actually a better profile fit here for the back of the rough cut. The annoying thing is that you do get this bit of tack rail on top on the Raider. Now, one of the guys on Reddit had done this with the Raider, and he'd done his primarily in kind of hot glue and a lot of the old school ways of doing things, which I don't like doing. I break stuff. If I was doing this mod again, I would start my cut here, about ½ an inch off of this dividing line here. So you've got a really nice marker line here in the white stripe. Take a ½ inch back and then make an angled cut up to where it meets the top of the rough cut. So if you imagine here, you can see I actually made a square cut. Now, if I get in really close, you may be able to see a tiny smidge of filler just here. There's a little bit of filler where this has been used and it's exposed it under the paint, and this is basically a straight down and across cut in here. So that's how I cut that the first time, and unfortunately with this I cut a little bit too much off. You need to make a cut along your grip. You can see along the grip here a slanted cut. Cut big at first because you can always file this back. It's easier to cut a bit more this way to allow it to meet against the trigger guard. And I just left this trigger guard on the bottom here on the 2 shell halves, and what I did was I roughened it all up with a sander, with a flat sander. You can use a belt sander if you have one, or you can use an ordinary flat block and some rough grip paper to allow a better bond with the DevCon here. Be careful when you get in here, you don't want this too thin. And if you make it like this one where it is really thin, after you've DevCon the 2 shell halves together, separate them again, and then you can bond in some epoxy into that area. You can use like whatever epoxy putty you like in there if you wish, just to add a little bit of rigidity in there, although I would have a caveat that it's better to bond that epoxy in place with a little DevCon first. The two are compatible in terms of adhesives, and otherwise your epoxy putty will fall out. You can just pull it out. So epoxy putty is useful for that kind of work, but not as the adhesive. So this really only, in my opinion, if you want a really clean, so if we look at this, if you want an ultra clean and really tight bond that will stand up to abuse, this has been played with already. My son's had this out quite a few times, and this is BMW Black Metallic, and up here is a custom mix that I made from acrylics just to match the Elite Blue because I didn't want to repaint the whole blaster. And you can see that this is an extremely strong bond, and this has been played with a lot. It's been dropped a couple of times already, and there's been no cracking at all, and you can see that that's really clean. Now I challenge anybody to get a clean an integration as that. without any kind of repainting. And there is some body filler in here. There's a little skim up in here and a little skim up in some of these places, and I did make some of the trigger parts. I'll just slant it a little bit, and you can see this line here along my thumb there. This is all made from very careful filler work and sculpting, so that it matches up to the line in the original grip. So the join actually runs down here, along here, and then it's along there and down. So it's actually a V-shaped join in that. It's been suggested a stockade stock would work real nice on this. I've got one knocking around somewhere, and if you have a look on Reddit anytime in the next couple of days, you might see that I've put up some pictures of that. You can do a search for Tactical Roughcut and you'll find pictures of this. So it loads just like an ordinary rough cut. There's no difference over the original. So there you go. Just for completeness, I'll show it firing, and you can see that it works quite nicely into the shoulder, and you can also use it. Now my favourite thing about this, as I said, is it becomes a viable pistol blaster. Now I think that looks really badass, and if you're facing this, it can be quite cool. To be fronting people down with this as a pistol makes quite a nice kind of meet-some hand cannon. And even better if you put the blaster part spring kit in it, although don't expect your slide to last as long as a stock one. And obviously credit to Dwarfs FTW and Akechi RX7 from Nerf Reddit, and they're the originators of this mod. They put up the first pictures. I know somebody might have done it somewhere else, but if you have done it someplace else, please contact me and I'll add you into the description.